What's up, everyone? So, doing a quick prep update here. I'm going to start doing these every week. I know I'm a few days late here. This is a 6 week update. As the time that I'm making this video, it's about 4 days into, 3 or 4 days into being 6 weeks out. So, it's actually more like 5.5 and 8 weeks out. So, anyway, here we go. I'm going to try to make this quick because this is try like number 3 or 4 making this video. So, prepping for 2 shows this year. First one's going to be the NPC Legends Classic in Las Vegas on February 14th. And then the Arnold Amateur on, I think it's March 5th. It's going to be a Thursday show before the actual Arnold Classic, the expo, and everything. So about 2.5 weeks later. So with that being said, also this YouTube, I got to do the YouTube thing. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Help me grow this channel. I'm going to be putting out these videos each week for my prep updates. I'm actually going to be on time from here on out. Now that I think I got some things figured out, make some other videos too as well. So hop along channel and let's go for a ride. So, real quick recap of 2024 is my first competition season. I did 2 shows. First one was the Sun City Showdown on June 8th. It was about 180 pounds there. You can see the photos here. Won middleweight and the overall. It was a smaller show, so it's not like I beat a whole bunch of people or anything like that, but really happy with the conditioning that I brought for first show and everything like that. And then I did the Dennis James Classic 3 weeks later. I was a bit lighter, 172 pounds. And also won middleweights there. Didn't get the overall. The heavyweight winner took it. He looked really well. Obviously had a ton of size on me. So I've been working with my coach, Tommy Styles, since I think June of 2023 now. Obviously it's gone really well. He knows my body really well. We've been successful. Already planning on doing another year with him after this competition season. So it's gone really well. Prep began about 17 weeks out. I was 211 pounds. You can see conditioning here that I was in for the beginning of prep. Not a bad place to start prep. Obviously, relatively soft, but some lines and everything. You can see the size that I was able to add into my frame, which was really important for me. That was the number one thing, was just keep on growing. So it took nearly a year and a half off in between preps, and that's just the time it takes to grow. So that's what we're able to do. So let's go through a couple more of these pictures here. You can see, I was able to add a bit of size, particularly in my upper body. My legs have always been a really big strong point, so didn't focus on them too much. Hamstrings and glutes, adductors I did focus on, quads not so much, but back and delts were really the focus for this off season here. So you can see I messed up. I put 2 pictures of my rear double here instead of the rear lat spread. Again, first time making these videos, so cut me some slack. Keep on working here, but you can see, I was in decent condition to start a prep. Not, there's obviously a lot of fat covering glutes, but at least there's a bit of shape there. They're not completely rounded over. Able to pull a little bit of a vacuum in a couple poses. You can see abs, everything like that. So pretty good place to start prep. And fast forward to 6 weeks out. This is about 4 days ago, January 2nd, down about 22 pounds in 11 weeks, so about 2 pounds a week. And you can see already in pretty good condition. Glutes are coming in. I've had at least faint lines in my glutes since about Thanksgiving, so conditioning has come along pretty darn quickly here, and just about getting these last little layers of fat off just to come in absolutely peeled while maintaining fullness and sharpness and everything. You can also see that I started tanning a lot sooner for this show compared to last show. Skincare overall has been a really big part of my emphasis for this prep. I feel like it's really important for presentation. Also worked on posing, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. You can see just how much better, like my front double is, my front lat spread especially. And just the presentation. It's going to be really important, especially for the Arnold Classic, to make sure I'm, or the Arnold Amateur, I should say, for presenting, what I do have, because I did put on a good amount of size this offseason. I want to be able to display that properly. So here's some post-workout pictures from a couple days later. This is now 2 days ago. Dropping down below the 190 mark here. I've been working with Cody Hornsby on posing. We've done 2 sessions so far. Got a third one lined up for later this week, and it's really worked well. You can see how presentation has really helped bring out the lats, like in that rear lat spread, the front lat spread. Showing more lat thickness in the front double, everything like that. Showing more of the width and thickness in the side poses has really helped out. I'm really happy with it, especially how this front or the rear double is looking, in this actually showing an actual taper and some lats and everything. So you can see that I did in fact add size to, my delts and my back, which I was really happy with. Still got to continue working on this posing, so we're gonna work on it. But you can see the conditioning pretty dry. Obviously, this is a pretty good pump after chest and shoulder session, so that definitely helps the look as well as the good lighting. But I'm really happy with the spot that we're in right now. Just gotta keep on moving. So, big part of why I've been able to be so successful this prep so far is I'm just training a lot harder than last prep. I just didn't train as hard as I should have down the stretch. I still trained, pretty hard, probably, harder than your average, gym bro for sure, everything like that. But I left a little bit on the table to be sure, just buying too much into that fatigue and everything like that. And for me, when I think intensity, I think of John Meadows. So that's the programs that I've been running for this prep since about 14 weeks out or so. Started with Project Colossus, which is a bit of a lower program from John, about 1 or 2 working sets for pretty much each movement. It is a typical John program. Otherwise, pull, push, legs, rest, and then pull, push. I dropped the leg pump day because I don't need it. My quads, my legs are my strong point. And then for the second half of prep, after I finished Project Colossus, I did a 1 week deload. Then I'm going with the Gamma Bombs, which is pretty much the stereotypical John Meadows program, in my opinion. And again, that's pull, push, legs, rest. Then it has an arms day. And then I'm running the first half of the program, which has a chest, back, and shoulders pump day. We are slowly reducing intensity and volume. Started with quads. We pulled out the intensity techniques for that about a week ago. And we're pretty much pulling the rest of the intensifier techniques for the rest of the prep here on out. And training harder has definitely allowed me to keep a lot more muscle, a lot more fullness and detail, and especially allowed my food to stay so much higher. Tommy has really emphasizing keeping my training performance fueled for this prep, and it's really paid dividends. It's a lesson that I think we learned together from last prep. Is just that synergy works so well. Cardio has not been crazy. 35 minutes a day, 6 days a week. It's all fasted right now. It's nothing special about fasted cardio, but just helps me start the day off with getting something done, gets me up in the morning, able to do it before everybody else is out of bed. So good way to start the day. And it's about a 50-50 split between elliptical or incline treadmill. I have my treadmill at home in the garage, so I do that mostly during the work week, and then during the weekends I am able to sneak away to gym. It's only like a 2 or 3 minute drive for me, and doing the elliptical, which I do prefer. It's a bit lower impact, and you're moving your arms and everything like that, so a little bit higher calorie burn there. Diet, very typical, very stereotypical bodybuilding diet and bodybuilding food, 6 meals a day. Overall, it is much higher than last prep, and that's part of training harder and obviously just having more size than last prep. A good 10 plus pounds of stage weight here is what we're looking at, compared to especially that second show, closer to 15 pounds, which is always awesome if you can add that in a year and a half off season. We have not had to change the diet very much since the beginning of the prep. In fact, half the time it's been to add food back in, especially on the high day, which I get once a week, which is really awesome. That is my leg day, and we'll go over that leg day meal plan here in a little bit. I only got 3 total high days all of last prep, so the fact that I get a weekly high day is really, really cool. And you're going to see how this diet is set up. So starting with the training day meals, pretty much across all days, about 300 grams of protein, about 50 grams of fat, and the main thing we're adjusting is carbs. It's kind of like a pseudo carb cycling diet, not quite to the extremes of like a Justin Harris type carb cycling diet where you're going to come really, really low, like almost, under 100 grams of carbs, under 50 grams of carbs on off days, and then like 1,000 grams of carbs on high days. Not doing anything like that, but it is a bit of a carb cycling diet. That is the main thing that we're adjusting throughout the week and throughout prep in general. So we actually just updated this meal plan just a little bit ago. So this training day and non-training day meals, the carbs did come down a little bit. We were at 330 grams of carbs. We're now down about 300 or so. You know, just a small drop here as we're looking to peel off that last bit of fat. You can see the meals, very typical bodybuilding foods and setup. Meals aren't necessarily in the order that I eat them each day. You know, if I'm training after work, obviously it's a different setup than if I'm training after one or two meals on the weekends, that sort of thing. But these are the meals that are on the plan. So that's where we're at as far as training day meals. Non-training day meals, I think the carbs came down to about 160 or so, so slightly bigger drop on those days. The rest days are really where we kind of dig and push the fat loss for the most part, and the other days are about maintaining that training performance, and then on the high day, you know, refilling glycogen a little bit and getting a bit more fullness back and everything. So it's the same foods 99% of the time as far as from day to day, just changing the amount of foods, particularly in the carbs here. Then high day meals, this one changed or was unchanged for this last update. We're up to 480 grams of carbs, which is, you know, for somebody my size for this late in prep, that's a pretty darn good amount of food. And it's both fun and even a bit of a challenge to get in the food sometimes, which is definitely a good problem to have, you know. So already daydreaming slash dreading how much food I'm going to get slash have to eat in the off season if food has been able to stay this high for prep. So that's pretty much it for this video. The other videos are going to be shorter and just, you know, weekly updates. They're actually going to be on time from here on out. Hopefully, just had to figure out some things for how to best record these. So that is pretty much it, guys. So let me know what you think. If you have any questions or comments, want to tell me I'm doing great, want to tell me I'm doing terrible, all that stuff, drop it in the comments, shoot me a DM, everything like that. Appreciate the support. Thank you for watching the video, guys.